Hi developers, in this video we will learn about environment variables and why we use environment variables. Okay, so we will use .env package to work with environment variables. So what are environment variables? So environment variables allows to configure the application without hard coding sensitive data like API keys, database URLs or secret keys into the source code. So this sensitive data we should not store in the source code. Instead, we should pass it from the env file. Okay. So the .env package, it is used to manage these variables in Express.js applications. Okay. And the .env package allows you to load these variables from a .env file into process.env in Node.js applications. And always remember to add .env file in .ignore file because it contains sensitive data, so that should not be committed to the branch. And always use npm i.env to install the .env package, because firstly we do not have the .env package, so we need to install it, and we can use npm i command to install that. Okay, so let's check in package.json. As we can see, .env package is not there, so we need to install it. So let's install npm i .env. So it will install .env package so that we can use it in our project. Also, meanwhile we can create a .env file. It should be in the root of our project. .env. Okay. So this env file, let's say we store port. We can fetch port from here. Let's say 5000, and also it contains add underscore name. Okay, and app name should be any name, my Express app. Okay, .env file will contain port and app name. Let's save it. So now let's come to the code. Firstly, what we need to do, we need to import the required modules. Okay, so firstly import the Express.js module. Import Express module. How we import it? We use const express is equals to require express. Require express. Okay, so we have imported express.js. Now what we need to do, we need to import .env package. Why we need to import .env package? To load the environment variables. So we use import env package to load environment variables. So as we can see in package.json, now we have .env package because we have installed it using npm i.env. Now we can require it in our Node.js project. So const .env equals to require .env. Okay. So now we need to initialize the Express application. How we initialize it? Create an Express application. Express application. We use const app is equals to express. Okay. So the next step is we need to define a route to use the environment variables. Define a route to use the environment variables. Use app.get request comma response. So now we will access the port variables, port environment variables. So where they are stored in .env file. Okay. So as we can see, they are hidden now. Okay. Because of sensitive data. So what we need to do, we need to access the port environment variables. Access the port environment variables. Const name. So how we need to access? We use process.env dot what it contains, app name. Okay. So if app name is not present, it will take the default name. Let's say default app. We can say default app. Okay. Now what other thing is there in .env? We have port. So now we need to access the port also. Const port is equals to, or we can access ports in when we start the server. Okay. So just print app name res.send. Okay. Welcome to. We will print app name. App name. So it will send response using environment variables. Now next step we need to start the server. Start the server. How we start the server? We use app.listen. Okay. App.listen, then port number. So let's say we need to fetch the port first. Const port is equals to, we need to fetch the port from env file. So how we fetch it? Process.env dot port. Okay. If port is not present in env file, then we will use default port, which is 3000. Okay. Now we need to listen to the port. App.listen. We will write port. We will do console. Console. Server is listening on port. We will write the message server is listening on port. We will use dynamic value because port can be 5000 or 3000. If port variable is present in .env, then it will take 5000. Otherwise, it will take default 3000. Port. Okay. So now let's run the application. We have started the application and we will see server is listening on port 3000. Why? Because it has not fetched from .env. We haven't configured the .env. So we need to configure the .env because .env will load the variables from .env file into process.env. So this step we have missed here. So what we need to do, we need to configure .env. Configure .env. So how we configure? We use .env .config. Okay. So what it will do? This will load the variables from .env from this will load the variables from .env to process.env. So let's run it again. So now server should listen from port 5000 because we have configured the .env to load the variables from .env file to process.env. So we can see server is listening on 5000. Let's go to look. So it is written welcome to my Express app because app name is my Express app. So this is all about the environment variables. So what we have done, we have created the server and handle the routing. And we have used .env to load the environment variables from .env file into the process.env. Also, we have configured the .env using .env.config. Okay, to load the variables from .env to process.env. Then we have defined the route and load the .env variables here. And then we have start the server. So this is all about using environment variables in Express applications. And guys, I am sharing the link to my GitHub account. I will share that link in the description. You can take the code from there.